And we are live for the big one. We've got Best Bet Bish and not Joe Me the Money this year, but I'm reclaiming the title after my fairly successful postseason run, Bish. But how are you doing? How excited for you for the Super Bowl? I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, I'm good. You know, it's obviously we had the week of no action, mixed emotions if I'm honest. Obviously the last game of the season, potentially the last show of the season. But it's that excitement comes through because you know it's the big one. It's the Super Bowl, the one everyone tunes in. We've got a whole new fan base out there tuning in for this game. So yeah, looking forward to it. You know, I was good in the regular season with the bets. The postseason hasn't been good, but you've come through strong in the postseason, and when it's mattered, you've delivered, Joe. So well done on that one.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we've had some fun this year. Like you said, I had one of the worst runs in early season history, and I've slowly tried to turn it around. Bish, I think we both had a rough start, and then you surged very well on the betting side of things. We've both made some good calls. We've both watched pretty much every game. Bish, some of your comments this year have been legendary. I think you've taught the viewers more about football than most of the pundits on the Sky Sports and all other available channels. I think you've done a great job, and yeah, more to come. But let's get into it, Bish. It's Super Bowl LVIII. As you've told me, it's the highest selling. You take us through it as a great stat, and I don't want to steal it from you.
Oh yeah, we're in Vegas, so yeah, obviously the glitz and glamour that come with it, and ticket prices are through the roof. I think it was. I'm presuming now, you know, so close to kickoff, the reselling on tickets is going to be phenomenal. But it was close to 10 grand a ticket, and I believe some high rollers, you know, just couldn't get all the tickets. So I'm sure the resale this close to kickoff is going to be phenomenal. But yeah. Averages about 115 million people watching the Super Bowl, and obviously we've got the massive halftime show with Usher as well. I believe Rihanna's show actually had 118 million watching, so there was an extra 3 million just watching the halftime show. So yeah, it's a great occasion, and of course, how could we forget? We've got all those Swifties on board as well.
I think it could be the highest grossing, highest watched Super Bowl of all time. I've noticed myself, I don't know about you, Bish, but more of my friends pay attention to the NFL. More people around the world, Twitter explodes from people from every country. I think this is going to break records like they've never seen. It's on an all-time high at the moment. Even though it's been a bit of a tough regular season, I believe. I think the consensus view that it's been an up and down season. A lot of injuries to key players, but we've made it to the end, and I think probably the two best teams have made it. Last year, obviously, the 49ers didn't make it. Brock Purdy got injured. All the backups got injured. They ended up with a wide receiver playing quarterback in the conference game last year, Bish. So I think the 49ers are happy. They're probably the best overall team in football against the Chiefs, who have a potential GOAT in Patrick Mahomes. He's got a long way to go to get to Brady's records, but he's on the way anyway. He's broke some records for young players, Bitch.
Yeah, and you said they're probably the two best teams. I'm not sure, Joe, if I'm honest. You know, I think 49ers definitely throughout the year have been very good. The Chiefs have stuttered, but have really hit the ground running in the playoffs. You know, big players have turned up. But both these teams, I think, have had a bit of luck in the playoffs, if I'm honest. You know, if Zay Flowers, you know, it's an extra inch and reaches over and gets that touchdown, potentially we see the Ravens here instead of the Chiefs. And then, you know, the 49ers, you know, full credit to them in the comeback, but, you know, they've come back from a 10-point deficit against the Packers and a 17-point one against the Lions. So, yeah, you know, it's been interesting, but, you know, as we say, you know, the best teams find a way, don't they? You know, no matter how it's going, they find a way, and here we are, potentially The Chiefs looking to, what some might say, cement a dynasty with a third one in such a short space, and then the 49ers trying to avenge the defeat 4 years ago. So exciting game, and hopefully it can live up to it.
Yeah, it's fair. I think it's contrasting seasons, really. Like you said, the Chiefs stuttered a bit during the regular season, made it to the playoffs actually quite comfortably. I think because we expect that much dominance. I think they got harshly done by in the regular season. They chipped away. They had some issues at wide receiver, and they slowly started to figure it out. The 49ers will all go ahead, but have actually stuttered a bit and not been as convincing in the playoffs as the Chiefs have been. So I think there's only one thing to do, Bish, and let's see how both teams got here. I'll let you go first. You're covering the 49ers. Take us through how the 49ers got here and give us a bit on them.
Yeah, so just the 49ers. Obviously, I being a Rams fan, I track the NFC West quite closely, so they're in there. But as we've said there, they've made their way through pretty comfortably. 12-5 record. They had a little bit of a wobble between weeks 6 and 8, where they lost 3 on the bounce, and then came strong after the bye. After the bye, they were pretty solid, if I'm honest. There was one game against the Ravens where they got blew out. I think I've got it down as week 16. Brock Purdy, probably his worst game. He's had 4 interceptions on that game. Pretty big blowout loss, but they've been the best team. I think the roster is the best in the league, and they've delivered at the end of the game and at the end of the season. And as I've mentioned there, just stuttered a little bit in the playoffs. Green Bay, a young team, came out and did a number on them early doors, but Brock Purdy had enough in the fourth quarter to bring it back, and similar in the championship game against the Lions there, where the Lions really, a 17-point lead, and it just unraveled for them. So that probably that big game players and that big game experience showed up for the 49ers. So that's how they got there. And, I just think they need to start a lot quicker against the Chiefs than they have done so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, completely agree with you. My friend, I'll give him a shout out since it's the big show. My friend Mao, big 49ers fan, got into it. Can't say big fan, actually. I'll take that back. He's got into it in the last 2 years, so he's got some years to clock in before I can say big fan. 49, he's been panicking loads about Brock Purdy's performances. He was the man who invented the early season hype of the Purdy. He was the one who got it going. But it's not been, as you said, it's not been that in the playoffs. But the one credit I'll give him, Bish, in them big moments, in them final drives of the game, he stood up and got it done. However way possible, he stood up, got it done, and got them the win. So, that's how they got here. I'll cover the Chiefs very quickly here. The Chiefs, as I said, actually ended up with an 11-6 record. So I think for most people, for most other teams in the league, you'd be extremely happy. I'm surprised they got so much hate. I think all categorized by wide receivers. The defense and the running game led by Isaiah Pacheco has been brilliant this year. The defense, L'Jarius Sneed and the gang there have been absolutely brilliant again. It's been a different Chiefs team. Normally it's an all explosion, all fun, receiving, Patrick Mahomes throwing it every which way, every which angle, but it's not been that. And then wide receivers have really struggled this year. But later on in the year, they've had Rashee Rice, the young upcoming wide receiver, stand up, put his hand up and go. Mahomes, you might have lost some of the others. Some of the others might have stepped down. I'm stepping up and I'm being there. He's actually a rookie, and he's been brilliant in this postseason. In the wild card round against the Dolphins, who had an ex-Chiefs player in Tyreek Hill leading the show, they blew them out, to be honest, 26-7. A bit of a shocking score. I think I predicted maybe the Dolphins to do well. I think, they wiped them out, and from that point on, they've been a juggernaut. Very close game against the Bills, but they got it done. The Bills, probably another one who performed late in the year after being pretty equal all year, but they got the job done against Josh Allen and the team there. And then they beat the Ravens, and I guess I've got a bit of a different take on this, Bish, because I thought they did pretty comfortably. Like you said, they were a close touchdown, but I'm never convinced watching it. I was never convinced the Ravens were going to do it. I think the Chiefs always had it in hand. Kelsey had an unbelievable game, and they got it done. Both defenses stood up. Obviously, the Chiefs only let the Ravens have 10 points. So that's one to watch out for in this game. Can the Chiefs slow down this 49ers amazing offense all over the park that they've got players in every position playing every sort of style? But what's your thoughts on the Chiefs this year so far, Bish?
I think you started well there. Like you said, we've all been used to the offensive power of the Chiefs, scoring a lot of points. But I've been impressed with the secondary. You know, you've got L'Jarius Sneed, Justin Reed, and Trent McDuffie. That secondary, they've just locked wide receivers down, really. You know, I think in the playoff, these 3-game run, they're only conceding an average of 14 points, which, you know, it's just making it really good for their offense and Mahomes to, you know, not really have to overdo things. A player I've really liked since the bye as well is the running back Isaiah Pacheco. You know, I've spoke about him a lot in best bets recently, and you know, he's a great running style to watch. That's one to look out for. The Chiefs running back. Watch how he carries the ball. It's like a cartoon character with his arms and legs going 10 to the dozen. But yeah, he's done really well, getting plenty of workload, and he's just made it easy for Patrick Mahomes to move the ball. So yeah, as you said, maybe a little bit of concern early on, but you know, we've seen sort of since the bye and in this playoffs they've adapted, and again they're coming in, and you know, it's a tough one to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
It is. He's been unbelievable. But that brings us on to probably the next thing we're going to cover, Bish, and you hinted at it there, who to watch out for. This is probably aimed at people who are new to the sport. I've had loads of people message me. I think you have as well, Bish, saying, what am I watching? Give me some things to watch out for. I know you love the NFL. I'm going to send them this video and say, watch this. So we're going to keep it simple for your long-time NFL viewers. It might not be the section for you because you might already know this, but these are people watching the Super Bowl, and to give them some more information to make it a bit more interesting and to help them understand who and what's going on. Bish, I'm going to let you cover your first player.
So again, I'll stick with the 49ers, and to watch out for, I think, you know, the most important player on the field, or 9 times out of 10, the most important player on the field is the quarterback, and that's Brock Purdy for the 49ers. And you know, he was drafted in 2022, the term called Mr. Irrelevant, which is the last pick of the draft. He was selected by the 49ers, and just doing some research on this, is a quote from an actual evaluator was, did not test well, limited arm and strength, and poor throw repertoire. I'm not sure what that throw repertoire means, but yeah. So you know, they're not very complimentary of him. But he's, you know, to be fair, he's come in obviously in his first year. He came in, got all the way to the championship game, got injured in that game, had an elbow injury, which meant he couldn't throw the ball. But this year he's come back. You know, again, there was, is he going to start? Is he not going to start? Is he the man for the future? And for a time, he was up as you know, an MVP candidate for most valuable player in the season as well. So he's looked good. You know, he's in a system that probably the amount of weapons around him really benefits how he plays. But you know, he's still, as I said, the last 2 games in the playoffs, he's come from behind and led the team to victories. So you know, that's showing a bit of maturity there, and definitely you know, a player who sort of leads from the front, and you're gonna need that player in big games.
Yeah, I'll cover one on the same team, Bish. I'm gonna go. You might slaughter me for this, but maybe the best player on the 49ers team, in my opinion, is Christian McCaffrey, former Carolina Panther. Absolute star for the Panthers, for players who don't know. But the Panthers are a mid to low table team, as you describe in football and rugby terms. They're not very good, but there was one star on it, and it was McCaffrey. He got traded to the 49ers after being pretty injury prone. It's a funny one, the injury prone tag. I've heard there's plenty of famous quotes on it, but there's one of my favourites is, "You're only injury prone until you're not." Basically saying you can keep getting injuries until it's injuries are pretty random unless you've got a genetic defect. They're pretty random, pretty thing. And for 49ers, it's shown it has been really consistent, been an absolute superstar. Bit different to the Isaiah Pacheco running style that Bish described earlier. Is very tight up top, keeps it all steady, but so elusive, so loose with his bottom half of his legs. They'll come and tackle him. He'll bounce off, but he keeps his legs going and his body stays nice and controlled. His legs will fly even if he's in the air, and he can rush. Obviously, as being a running back, but he's also a great receiver. He can do it all, really. He's also played backup quarterback, but I don't think we'll be seeing much of that in this game. But maybe a trick play. But he can do everything. He's a maverick, and if you're watching the Super Bowl, he'll be the man. He'll be the man to watch. If you see him get going, Chiefs could be in for a long day. So watch that running back position. Hear the name McCaffrey, and if you hear it often, the Chiefs could be in trouble.
Fair. And just moving on, I guess I'll stick with the quarterbacks I'll discuss the Chiefs quarterback, which is Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes is sort of the modern day. I'm not going to say GOAT, but he's the modern day, what people say the best player in the league, if I'm honest. This is his 6th season in the league, and he's been to the Super Bowl. This was his 3rd trip to the Super Bowl. He's been to the championship game 4 times out of 6, which is the game just before the Super Bowl. So he's gone deep in all his 6 seasons. And again, a player that wasn't picked early in the draft, came late in the draft. Not quite as late as Purdy, but came late in the draft. Question marks about him, and he's just stepped up and been unbelievable. He's got 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 MVPs in those Super Bowls. The only loss was to the GOAT, I believe, in Tom Brady. So he's trying to chase Tom Brady down. It's going to take some doing that, to be honest. But as I said earlier, this will help him get there. If he does manage to get a victory here, this will be his 3rd Super Bowl win in 6 seasons, which is very impressive for such a young man. I believe he's around 28 years old as well, so plenty of years left in him. And he did sign a massive contract, but by all accounts, it is very team friendly. So it is a huge contract, but so it does allow the sort of team to build around him in a salary cap sport, which helps him stay at the top for longer. So yeah, definitely one to look out for. Number 15, little curly perm on top with a bandana under his helmet. So yeah, look out for him scrambling and trying to make plays.
And how can we cover the Chiefs without the man of the moment, the man of the season, really, for his off the field success? And the man who's dating Taylor Swift, the man who's brought more eyes to NFL than many in recent history, all by dating the biggest pop star in the world. We've got Travis Kelce. He's a tight end. He's a tight end, actually. He's a position that's known for blocking, but also receiving. It's a multiple roles. He's 34 years old, so he's on a bit of the different spectrum than Mahomes. Quarterbacks can play late into the 30s. Tight ends can play later, but he's not got many years left. But has he been a superstar? And some are calling him, alongside a name that some people may know, Rob Gronkowski, one of the best tight ends of all time. And I'll just whittle off some of his stats. He's obviously played Chiefs all of his career, from 2013 getting drafted in the 3rd round to today. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 4-time first team All-Pro. His NFL records, he's just actually got the career postseason receptions at 156. He's had 7 seasons with 1,000+ receiving yards for a tight end, consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons by a tight end. That's 7 as well. Receiving yard, he's got the record for most receiving yards in a season by a tight end, 1,416. And he's got plenty more. He's been unbelievable. He's got the most. He's tied with Jerry Rice for the most 100+ receiving yard games in the playoffs, with maybe the GOAT wide receiver Jerry Rice. He's a megastar. He can do everything. He can do everything off the field, apparently, and he can do everything on the field. And he's a man to watch out for. Hear his name often when it leaves the man who Bish mentioned, Mahomes' hands. More often than not, it will be landing in Travis Kelce. Watch out! It will turn to Taylor Swift every time he does a big play. So it might be very often, because he'll be a key to the Chiefs' success in this Super Bowl, and he deserves every accolade he can get. He's an absolutely brilliant tight end, and keep your eye on him, because he'll do some things that you can't believe, really, because he don't look that fast, don't look that athletic, but he ends up with the ball in his hands every time, and he always comes up with something special.
If you've got a drinking game going on for the Super Bowl, and the amount of times the camera switches to Taylor Swift, I don't think you'll see halftime. So go steady on them.
Yeah, I think you'd struggle with that one. Which I might do with that, Bish. Actually, nice Sunday night fun. But if I stop replying past 2 a.m., you'll know what game I was playing. Sort of related again. We're going to cover some of the matchups. I'll start on this one, Bish. I've got the man who I mentioned, Christian McCaffrey versus the Chiefs' rushing defense. Again, McCaffrey, the most important player in the 49ers, in my opinion. He should be named MVP, but they give it to quarterbacks. He's been that good. He's been the top player probably in the league, but sadly he's a running back, not a quarterback. He's been good. He's been good in the offseason, in the postseason. But as Bish said, Chiefs are only giving up 13.7 points per game in the playoffs. It's the one weakness the Chiefs defense has, though, is the run. They're ranking 18th in the regular season and 6th in the playoffs, giving up 113 ground yards per game. You might see a lot of Christian McCaffrey coming up. It's a key matchup. If the Chiefs can find a way to slow him down, which not many, if anyone, has done in the league, they'll find some success again. But I think it could be a big day for Christian McCaffrey, because, as we've covered, the cornerbacks for the Chiefs are brilliant. The safeties are brilliant. The one weakness is that they do let the running back go wild sometimes, and there's one running back in the league you can't let go wild, and it's Christian McCaffrey, and all stats are saying he might, just because they're going to run it a lot, and we're going to see a lot of Christian McCaffrey in this game.
And I'm just piggybacking on the back of that. I think both teams are going to see a lot of running. And again, the matchup I'm looking at is just the other side of the ball. It's Pacheco running the ball against the 49ers defense. And, you know, this 49ers defense is probably, in the last 2 or 3 years, been probably their weakest area, I believe. They've sort of been really strong defensively. They made a trade earlier on in the season for Chase Young, and I've been a bit underwhelmed, if I'm honest. You know, I've got it written down somewhere here. He's since the start of December, he's had half a sack and 1 pass defended. You know, as key stats there. So he's not. I don't think they're doing much, and they've been a bit vulnerable to outside runs. They're very strong in the center. You're going to struggle taking them on through the middle. Very good linebackers, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, who really hit you hard through that middle. But on the outside, running against the tackles, they seem to find a bit of space there, teams against the 49ers. And in both playoff games, the running back for the opposition has really done a number. Aaron Jones had a massive game, over 100 yards, and the Lions, David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs both had combined over 150 yards as well. So it is an area of concern for the 49ers, and one that we'll look to see if the Chiefs can take advantage of.
I like it. I've got one more. I've got Kyle Shanahan versus Steve Spagnuolo. Nolo. I apologise for your pronunciation of your second name there, Steve. Shanahan, the offensive, is the head coach, but also the offensive play caller for the 49ers. He's struggled in Super Bowls. Shanahan has coached in the Super Bowl twice, and his teams have held double-digit second-half leads before blowing them against Tom Brady and Mahomes 4 years ago. He's made some mistakes. He's made some mistakes offensively, and he's not come up big. He'll be looking to prove himself this year, but in the regular season, he's been one of the most creative, fun play callers in the league. On the other side of the ball, you've got Steve Spagnuolo, who's the Chiefs' defensive coordinator. He's one of the best defensive schemers, but I can't say of all time, but he's up there. He's been part of 5 Super Bowl championship teams, and I've said 5, and his record is 3-1 as a defensive coordinator. So I've got one of them stats wrong there, but he's 3. I believe he's 3-1 in the Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator. So at times the Chiefs' defense and the other team might not be known for the defense, but he's got the play calls right, and he's made the right reads on the opposition offense in these big games when it's counted. It's going to be a great matchup, offensive, defensive minds going at it. And for people who are new to the sport, again, watching it, don't really watch it. Look what they run. Look what every position's doing, where they're running, how they're doing it. Look what the defense is doing. Are the wide receivers, running backs getting open, or are they closed down? Is there good plays going on? And that's a lot of the times due to the coaching, sometimes over the actual individual personnel, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Are the play calls right? Is he calling the right defense and the right coverage? If Steve Spagnuolo goes by his record, he'll get it right, and the 49ers might have a tougher game than most, especially in this Super Bowl where Steve really does a great job.
Yeah, and I think that's a key matchup. Just my final point is what he does. Steve, he blitzed a lot, quite a lot against the Ravens. The only problem is doing that against his 49ers team. This is the one team where they've explosion all over the field. You've got McCaffrey, you've got Deebo Samuel, you've got Brandon Ayuk. One slip and it's a touchdown for the 49ers there. So that does bring that into question. But for me, the biggest thing is, and how I've sort of tried to sum this matchup is, I think how these teams start the game. I think if whichever team starts the game and gets on top, I think the other team will find it hard to claw their way back into it. The 49ers, they've come back into the last 2 games after giving up big leads. I just can't see that happening this week if they don't start well against the Chiefs. So they do have the play, like I said, they have the explosion to make a one-play 80-yard touchdown. But this secondary of the Chiefs has been very good all season. So I think leading in this game is going to be important to both teams.
Bish, we've got the final one before the bets. We're going with your prediction for Super Bowl MVP. I would guess it will also give away which team you're going to think is going to win, because I think only one time in history the MVP has been on the losing side. So whoever Bish says here, you'll be able to gather which team he thinks is going to win. Yeah,
and generally, like the regular season MVP, this is a quarterback award. 6 of the last 10 have been quarterbacks, and therefore, as we said there, it's the winning team. So for me, he gets a little bit closer to Brady. He makes it 3 wins and 3 MVPs. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Before I reveal mine, I'll go tags. He's gone against a bit of the convention, but a player we've mentioned multiple times already in the show. Scott Tag Taylor has gone with Travis Kelce. I believe the line on that's about 18-1 or 16-1 or something like that, because a tight end winning Super Bowl MVP. I should have researched this, but I don't think it's ever been done before. Maybe once ever.
I'm not sure. It's definitely not been done in the last 10. The last 10, 6 have been quarterbacks, 2 have been linebackers. So it hasn't been done. But one thing I'd lean is what we've talked about Taylor Swift is the fan vote counts for 20% of the sort of weighting here. So, he's going to get, I can imagine him getting a heavy dose of the fan vote. It's just how well that's weighted with obviously the broadcasters and everyone else who gets their say.
As the name of this show implies, I think that's worth a punt at 15 or 16 to 1 then, with the fan vote and the Swifties in full force supporting their compatriots. My Super Bowl MVP is easy. It's different than your two because it's on the other team. I've got the man who I've mentioned, the man who I've sold. I got excited. I was selling him myself, which is a bit egotistical. I've got Christian McCaffrey. He's been the best player in football this year. I'm sorry for the quarterback. I'm sorry for Lamar, who I think all the bookies have got winning MVP. It's been McCaffrey. He's been a weapon all throughout. He's been Purdy himself, his quarterback, who quarterbacks normally win instead. There's one man who should be MVP. It's McCaffrey. He's been unbelievable. His stats. I think most of my winning bets have been Christian McCaffrey overs on receiving and rushing yards. I think most of my wins have been around that. And he's just been phenomenal all year. I'll just bring up a couple of things. They're saying he's averaged over 91.5 rushing yards in the 2 playoff games so far. Well, he's had 90 and 98 rushing yards. He's just been brilliant. He's 10 to 1 to get Super Bowl MVP. I think that's worth a great bet. He's just, again, I can't keep saying he's been unbelievable, but his last game he had 26 carries against the Chiefs, 26 carries for 107 yards and scored 2 touchdowns in 2 games versus the Chiefs in his career. So he has a bit of success against them as well. So 10 to 1, McCaffrey MVP. I think that's your bet of the year.
He's been very good. He's been very good, and like you said, with the sort of weighting of him being the star player rather than Purdy, if they win, he'll be very close. He's had 21 touchdowns in the regular season and 2 each in both playoff games. So, like you said, he's been very busy.
All right, we're into the main bit of the show. What probably all the punters are here for, the bets. Take us through your first one, Bish.
We've not actually declared a winner yet, so I'm guessing you're going.
Sorry, I've just skipped that.
I know. Obviously, I think the way mine and tags are, I think it's pretty clear we're with the Chiefs. I'm guessing, obviously, I don't want to, jump to conclusions, but by the MVP pick.
You are right. It's the San Francisco 49ers. We've got a big division in the punt. I'm going 49ers. I think McCaffrey's just too good. I think Purdy can be a system quarterback in this game. I don't like I think the Chiefs against the McCaffrey matchup going to be one that just gets them to victory. I think there's going to be some great plays, some great moments. But yeah, McCaffrey gets them over the line here with some big plays from Debo, Ayuk, and George Kittle, who I think a lot of people don't give a lot of love to, but his pass blocking as a tight end is 10 times better than Kelsey's, and he also can receive, not as well as Kelsey, but can do a job. And I think, we've got some action from all of the 49ers to get the win here. Worried about the defense, but Chiefs haven't blown. I just don't think they're good enough on the offensive side this year to really get it done. Kelsey's going to have a big game. But the 49ers are going to come at them and they're going to win this game. I'm sorry, bitch.
I like it. Always nice to have one in either camp.
Yeah. Bitch, take us through your first bet.
My first bet is Isaiah Pacheco over 16.5 rushing attempts and over 67.5 rushing yards, and that's coming in at 2.6 on the decimal there. And just backing up what we've said, in his 3 playoff games this year, he's had 24 carries in 2 games and 15 in 1 game. That was the one against the Bills. And in the month of December, he had 2 games with 18 carries as well. So they're really leaning on the run quite a lot now. And against his 49ers D, I think they can, get some success running to the outside here. His yardage, he's been over this 67.5 rushing yards in all 3 playoff games. So whether it's, whether he smashes 20 carries or he's just under 20 carries, he's been getting, he's achieved over 67.5 in all 3 playoff games. And I think this is basically game script. I think the Chiefs get in the lead, and I think they run the ball here. And just again, coming back to what I've said, against the 49ers against run D in the playoffs, against the Packers, they gave up 136 yards. And against the Lions, they gave up 182 yards. So, there's runs there to be had. And I think Pacheco can get it done.
Obviously, I'm going a different winner, but I get you. I like your games. It all makes sense, to be fair. But like I said, I'm going different winner. So I think the 49ers might start off fast and furious. But if the Chiefs do, it's got to be behind Pacheco, hasn't it? I think you've got to remember the names Kelsey and Pacheco. And again, you've got this line pretty much right all off-season, haven't you, Bish? It's the one you've nailed pretty consistently, and 67.
Yeah, since the bye, Pacheco's been over 15.5 quite regularly. The line has actually jumped up this week. Last week, it was 15.5, so it's jumped up by 1 carry this week. But I think, as I said, either team, I think we're going to see a lot of rushes from both Pacheco and CMC. So yeah, I've just gone with Pacheco because, yeah, as I said, game script.
I like it. I'll take you through my first bet, and I already know you're going to disagree with it because it's one based on the winning, and it's 3-1. I've got the 49ers winning by a margin of 1-6. I think only a field goal or 2 gets you the win here. For the reasons, I guess we've kind of fit in the same reasons. It's going to be a heavy rushing game. The time's going to tick up fast in this Super Bowl, I believe. The Chiefs, Pacheco's been brilliant, and also obviously I can't mention McCaffrey enough. I think there's going to be a lot of rushing, which expends more time than throwing the ball does because the clock doesn't stop. Both teams are fairly evenly matched. Both have struggled against the run, but both have brilliant offenses. Both have brilliant defenses guarding every other position and every other action. I think the only success both teams have consistently here is the rushing, and that's why I think it's a close game. In the last 2 Super Bowls, it's really got tighter. Obviously, 2 years ago, the Rams versus the Bengals, as you know, Bish, won by 3 points. The Rams 22, Cincinnati 20. And last year, Kansas City versus Philadelphia, the Kansas City won 38-35. So the last 2 years dictating the 2 close games. I think these 2 teams are as well evenly matched in terms of different offensive styles, defensive roles and responsibility. I think that it's going to be good. Both defenses are really good. I think it's a close win by the 49ers, by McCaffrey, just getting it done, getting that work in him, and a really close win for the 49ers gets us the win at 3-1, and I earn some money because I've predicted a great close game.
Yeah, it's like you said, whichever side of the fence you're sitting on, it's likely to be a close game. The 49ers are -2.5. It's a close game, really. So you'd think that margin 1-6 under a field goal, under a touchdown. Yeah, like you said, field goal comes into it. So yeah, obviously I'm leaning the other side, but I think it's going to be close.
Okay, yeah. This takes through your second bet.
My second bet, and this is one that I like it. It's more of a sort of one. I'm not too. I think we need a bit of luck with this one, but I like it. It's George Kittle, longest reception over 21.5 yards, and that's 1.86 there. And George Kittle, the tight end for the 49ers, and is a player that I love to watch because the tight end position, it's a bit of a hybrid. You are a blocker, and you're also a receiver. And Kittle, he loves the blocking. He takes that very seriously. And the last playoff game against the Lions, I watched the highlights, and there's a clip that's going on socials of him absolutely pancaking Aiden Hutchinson and just laughing at him on the floor. I just love him. But as a result of that as well, sometimes he stays in and blocks, and then it's a quick move, and he's down the field as a receiver, and sort of gives him a bit of free time down the field because no one's expecting him to be there. And that's what I'm looking at in this game. He generally gets on the end of some long passes by Purdy. He's not used very heavily, so it's not going to be massive amount of receptions. In the Lions game, the last game, he only had 2 catches, and one of them was for over this. So in the season, he's hit this line on 12 out of 18 games. For those who are good at maths, that's your 66% there. And in the playoffs, he's had 3 catches over this line, 2 against the Packers and 1 against the Lions, as I've just spoke about. So it's not going to be frequent, but I think it's there as a play. It's called a seam route, where he just stays in and blocks for a little bit and just takes off in a straight line up the field. Hopefully the 49ers receivers are keeping that Chiefs secondary busy, and he just pops up behind the linebackers for a nice pass and catch there. So yeah, look out for it, because you're not going to see it often, but we just need one to hit home, and it's a tick.
I like it, Bish. Like you said, it's just one. They'll need, I think the wide receiver, I don't know, maybe get shut down. I know Debo's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, can do lots of things. I think Ayuk might get shut down in this game. I think George Kittle's going to have to step up. Like you said, he's so physical. Even if he is guarded, I think he gets his hands there for one, and really helps the team get down the field and moves them sticks closer to the field goals that I need to win my bet.
Nice.
I'll take you through my bet. I've got my second bet. I've got Deebo Samuel over 16.5 rushing yards. As I kind of just said there, is a Swiss Army knife, can receive. It's similar to McCaffrey, but as a wide receiver, as his predominant position, can rush very well. In the last couple of games, he's done all right. In the against Detroit, he actually had only got 7 yards. Against Green Bay, he didn't have any rushing, but in that season against the Rams, he got 11. Washington 35. He's had 22 against Philadelphia in the year. He's had 29 versus Jacksonville. He's had 30 versus Dallas. 11 against Cleveland. The Rams, he had 38 rushing yards. I think the 18.5 might be a little high, but I think they'll have to use him. I think they will use him to take a bit of the emphasis off McCaffrey. I said we're going to see a lot of McCaffrey, but Deebo will come round a few times. Apparently, set Green Bay, he always gets involved, always has 1 or 2 rushes just to take some of that rushing onus away from McCaffrey and the running backs. And I think he gets open for 1 or 2. I know I'm going off a hunch there, but they're not good at stopping the run. If the offense do show run and they switch it from McCaffrey to Deebo, I think he'll get open, because all the concentrations to make sure McCaffrey don't go for a big run. And I think that the scheme will just allow him to get 1 or 2 10, 15-yard runs, and we get over this line. Is his average a bit lower? Yeah, maybe, but it's the Super Bowl. Big plays like this, big plays like I'm suggesting have to happen for a win. Everyone's nailed or defenses are tight. Defenses are very good. They've schemed for 2 weeks now on exactly what to do. Then have to throw some Deebo at it just to make the defense honest, as they say, and keep McCaffrey going in his way, and just open it up a bit and make sure they know there's more to come.
Yeah, and I think this falls back into what you spoke earlier about Kyle Shanahan against Steve Spagnuolo there, and you've had 2 weeks to sort of game prep, and in these games you sort of see some trick plays. Philly came up with a Philly special where the quarterback passed it and then scored a touchdown. I think it takes some magic like that just to offset the other team who have obviously studied you all season, and you've had 2 weeks to prepare. So. By all words, sort of Deebo was expected to have a bit of a heavy game against Green Bay running, and obviously he came off injured with his shoulder. So we've seen him do some runs before, and again, he's so explosive. You said there may be a couple. He could get this in one play. So he just takes that one little gap and he's away. So as you said, I think we see him run the ball. So how many attempts, I'm not sure, but hopefully it's enough to get 17 yards.
Let's have it. Bish, take us through your last one. I've got to be honest, I'm reading it here. Obviously, I disagree with it.
Yeah, this is the one I thought. I was looking at this, nice odds here, and I've actually gone against it. First of all, I'll say what it is. That'll be a start. It's the Chiefs to be leading at halftime and to win at full time, and it's big odds. That's why I've gone for it here. 3.65 there, and just the way sort of the game script is and the way it's gone. And personally, I do think the 49ers roster is better, but I just think the way they've played in the playoffs, the way the Chiefs have played, I just think the Chiefs are going to control this game here. Sort of what I've alluded to earlier, the 49ers are slow starters. In both their games this year, they've not scored any touchdowns, or they've not scored any points in the first quarter in the playoffs. The Chiefs have scored 2 touchdowns, one against the Ravens, one against it's just slipped my mind who they played in Miami, one against Miami, and then they kicked a field goal against the Bills. So in those 2 games that they scored touchdowns in the first quarter, they went in at halftime winning. The second one against the Bills, it was 10-10 at halftime. So I think if the Chiefs start well, which they have done in games, and the 49ers are a bit slow, as they have done in the playoffs, I think it falls straight into my hands here. The Chiefs can build up a lead, and then it puts pressure on Purdy. And we've seen him throw some interceptions in the past against his secondary, and I think they can close it out for a victory. So, yeah, that's the angle I've gone with on this one.
I like it. If the Chiefs win, Bish, I think you've got the storyline there, and I think you've got it right. I'll take you through my one, Bish. I've got the one. We're waiting for the sponsorship still. We're waiting for the email.
Yeah.
I might have missed it. Bet365. If I've missed it, just give me another email and let me know because I'm waiting. I thought I've probably done enough, got you enough business by now that you'd be all over us. But I've got the final Bet365 bet boost of the year. No one be surprised whose name comes up 3 times in this one. I've got a Christian McCaffrey. I've spelled his name wrong. That's really embarrassing. I've got a Christian McCaffrey Bet365. There we go. Let me just save that. I've got a Christian McCaffrey Bet365 bet boost. I've talked about him all show. With Christian McCaffrey touchdown. The line with 50 plus rushing yards. That's just, that's a tick already. And then I've got the 50 plus receiving yards. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey game. I think Ayuk gets shut down. I think Debo gets used as a Swiss Army knife, and that's where he's going to find success. But with this man who gets them the Super Bowl, it's my MVP. McCaffrey touchdown. I think he averaged pretty much a touchdown on every game this year. He missed 1 or 2, but then in other games he's had 2 or more. I'm so excited. He's had 14 rushing touchdowns this year. I think he'll get a touchdown in this game. He had 2 against the Lions. He had 2 against Green Bay, and that's the playoffs. They're using him a lot. In the Lions game and Green Bay, as I said earlier, he got 90 rushing yards and 98 against Green Bay. Games before that against Washington, got 64 rushing yards, and that's a bad game. Before that, Baltimore 103, Arizona 115. Tick. You've got 2 out of the 3 without blinking. The one that we're nervous for is the receiving yards. Against Detroit, got 4 receptions for 42 yards. Against Green Bay, 7 for 30 yards. The one that he nailed this on, Arizona, as I mentioned, 5 for 72. This is the part that we're worried, the receiving. But as I said, they're gonna. I think they're gonna want Purdy to play safe. Sadly, I don't think we're gonna see some marvelous things from Purdy. They're gonna keep it nice, tight, and compact. Get McCaffrey loose at running back and let Purdy drop it off to him and let him do his magic. I think. He'll get the rushing yards easily. He'll get his touchdown as long as 49ers have any success. He's getting the touchdowns. Receiving, I'm giving all the respect in the world to the Kansas City defense. The cornerbacks are very good. I'm not saying they'll completely shut down the 49ers wide receivers, but they'll do a good job. I think McCaffrey's going to have to get loose from the backfield, load of pitch downs from Purdy, keep it nice and safe, compact, get the yardage, win the field position game by McCaffrey having lots of receiving. And I think I've got McCaffrey winning MVP, and this is how he's going to do it.
If he hits this, I think he does get MVP, yeah, which would be a nice double for you. But yeah, as you said, the rushing yards, I think that's I think his line's about 90, 91. So you're close to half there. So yeah, that's a doable. Touchdowns, you've just said it there. He scored 14 rushing touchdowns this season, 7 receiving. So he's on 21. He's scored 2 in each playoff game. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but I've said that a few times on this show and been proved wrong, but it's very close to it. And as you said, it's that receiving. Does he get enough work? I think he will, because ultimately it's the last game of the season for everything. Get it in your best player's hands as often as you can. So whether it's running the ball, catching the ball, he's going to be everything. So yeah, it's just volume. I think if he gets that volume receiving, I think he wins it, and we sail off with a 7-2 sponsorship deal next season.
Come on, Bish. Yeah, I like all the bets. I think they're all, like I said, yours fits a game script. Mine fit a game script. The two, obviously, about the game. The player line, the player props we've got, all can work out essentially, I believe, Bish. There's nothing that says Pacheco can't get his rushing. McCaffrey can't get his rushing in and do everything. Nothing to say Debo don't get a few rushing meters. It all works except obviously the 2 game scripts we've got. So I say let the man with the more NFL knowledge win, Bish.
Whoever it is, yeah. As long as it's me, I'm yeah. Like you said, it's poised nicely. So whichever way it is, I think it's going to be a great game. Whichever game script works.
Bish, we've got one last one. We've got the man who's, we're not going to say struggled with some of his bets this year, but we have to be honest. He's not had the same screaming success he had last year when he won people hundreds on hundreds. But he said he's coming with a vengeance, and he's got one bet, one builder. I know, obviously, the football fans, the as Americans call it, soccer, the ones who watch Premier League, love their bet builders of every type of angle. Tag's got one for you here. That's just as wild as anything you'll ever see. But he's coming, and he's coming to earn everyone a lot of money. Bish, I'll let you take us through it.
Yeah, Tag's Super Bowl builder. It's up on the screen there. 16-1 it comes in. He's got the Kansas City Chiefs -2.5 on the point spread. He's got Travis Kelce to score a touchdown, Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown, Patrick Mahomes 250 plus passing yards on the milestones, Travis Kelce over 71.5 receiving yards, and Christian McCaffrey 75 plus rushing yards again on the milestones. So yeah, your 6-leg bet builder there, and it has been a tough season for Tag, but if you have stuck with us right from the beginning, where we had a 23-1 and a 17-1 winner in the first season, you're still in profit. So it's a long game.
You're right. You're still in profit, and I think it can get you in even more. Bish, I'm going to let you give the concluding thoughts on the game and the outro. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to it. It's been a great season. It's been a pleasure, Joe. Thank you, those that have come along the way, along the journey with us. Enjoy your Super Bowl, wherever you're watching it, however you're consuming your food, your drink, whatever you're doing. Enjoy it all. Look forward to the halftime show and set an over/under on the amount of Taylor Swift camera glances and see see where you get with that one. But no, it's been great. Please like, subscribe, pass it on. Obviously, we're back next season, bigger and better, with the fantasy league as well going. Spotify, please leave us a review. Again, it's greatly received, and keep tuned because there'll be content going. The season may be over after this week, but the free agency and the combine as quickly amongst us. So we will be back. So yeah, and enjoy the small break, and then enjoy the Super Bowl.
Bish, been a pleasure of a year. Let's end it on a high. So let's both land 2 out of 3, and one of us land 3 out of 3. Tag, let's get on it. Been a great year. Thoroughly enjoyed it. To all the viewers again, thank you, and have a great night, everyone.
Enjoy.